As a social worker, I've seen a lot of things. Part 6. The completely empty, dusty bed. The drained, bloodless animals piled in the utility room. The desperate message written on the glass. But the timeline did not make any sense. If the granddaughter had moved in months ago to care for the old woman, why was the house completely dead? Why was there no food, no electricity, and no sign of anyone other than the young woman herself? I told you she was resting, a voice whispered from the doorway behind me. I spun around rapidly, aiming the beam of my flashlight directly at the bathroom door. The young woman was standing there, blocking the only exit, but her demeanor had entirely changed. The smooth, calm cadence of her voice was gone. When she spoke now, her voice carried the exhausted, raspy, resentful tone of someone who had suffered through decades of immense pain. I was trapped in this house for years, she said, taking a slow step into the bathroom. My joints were failing. My lungs were filling with fluid. Every single morning was an exercise in agony. I could not walk to the mailbox or even cook for myself. I screamed for help, but nobody in this miserable neighborhood ever cared. The people next door ignored me. The state ignored me. You social workers never came when I actually needed you. You left me here to rot in the dark. Where is the old woman? I demanded, my voice trembling, despite my best efforts to remain steady. I kept the light pointed at her torso, slowly reaching into my pocket for my phone. I just told you, she hissed, taking another step forward. She stepped fully into the ambient glow of the flashlight bouncing off the bathroom tiles. I finally saw her face clearly. She looked like a woman in her early 20s, but her skin was flawlessly pale, looking almost like polished marble. However, it was her eyes that made my blood run entirely cold. Her eyes were completely inhuman. The sclera was a sickly, vibrant yellow, reflecting the light exactly like a nocturnal predator. Someone finally visited me, the woman continued, her yellow eyes locked onto my face. A deeply menacing, manic smile stretched across her pale cheeks. A shadow came through the basement window during the coldest night of the winter. He found me dying in my bed. He saw how abandoned I was, how pathetic my existence had become. And he offered me a trade. He gave me the ultimate grace. She raised her hands, displaying long, sharpened fingernails that looked more like dark, hardened claws. He took away the sickness, she whispered, her voice vibrating with an unnatural resonance. He took away the weakness. He made me finally young again. All I have to do to keep the pain away is drink. The stray animals were enough at first to sustain the youth, but the thirst is getting worse. I am so terribly hungry today. She lunged at me with a speed that was impossible for a human to achieve. She crossed the distance of the bathroom in a fraction of a second. I barely had time to react. I swung flashlight in my hand as hard as I could, aiming directly for her face.